Finally, finally. Chris Paul, after a long journey in the NBA at the age of 36, he has finally made it to the NBA Finals. I don't want to talk about the game. I have nothing to say about the game. Clippers, you had a hell of a run. You had a hell of a season. You lost Kawhi. You fought back, got to the conference finals, and you were 2 wins away from making it to the NBA Finals. A tough way to go out, but you guys had a hell of a run. Unfortunately, this is the end. Good on you guys. Best of luck next year. I got nothing to say about them. Everyone else on the Suns, you guys did your thing. DeAndre Ayton did his thing. Payne did his thing. Crowder was amazing today, did his thing. Booker did his thing. But this is not about them. I'm glad they won as a unit. They played well together. But this is about one man here. This is about Chris Paul III. This is about CP3. This was CP3's finest hour. This, in my opinion, is going to be the best game of his career. 41 points to close out the Clippers and take his team to the NBA Finals. This is his finest moment. And man, the journey's been rough. Oh, the journey's been rough. I'm just so glad to see this finally happening because honestly, I was so scared. I was so scared this man was never gonna see an NBA Finals. And it's been a long journey for him, starting off with New Orleans and trying to carry that team to success, just not being able to get it done. Then he gets traded to the Clippers. And he's there for like several years. The Lob City Clippers with him, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan, and them trying to figure that out. Just season after season, filled with injuries left and right and missed opportunities. But when he went to the Clippers, we did have that hope and belief and just, prayer that he would actually be able to make it to the finals. And I remember the first year where we really thought Chris Paul could make it to the finals. It's that first year, 2015. You got the Clippers taking on the Spurs, and, CP3 suffers another hamstring injury, but he fights back to it, and he has his greatest shot of his career in that Game 7 when he makes that layup on one good leg to beat the Spurs and advance to the second round. And I'm never going to forget that image of Tim Duncan hugging him and just Chris Paul crying. It really felt at that moment it was finally CP3's time. It was finally his time to take his team to the finals and hopefully win a championship. But unfortunately, they blew a 3-1 lead to the Rockets in 2015. And then things were never the same. The Warriors just took over, and I really thought at that point the Warriors are going to finish this out and they're going to be there for a long time. But a stroke of luck would happen. CP3 would get traded to the Houston Rockets, and he would partner up with James Harden, and they would go on to have one of the greatest offenses this league has ever seen. That 28 Rockets team was something special. And I remember going into the playoffs after they clinched the number 1 seed. I remember going into that playoffs thinking, with home court advantage, if these two guys can play up to their superstar potential, they have a good shot to beat the Warriors. And I had it in my heart. I said, I'm picking this Rockets team to go to the finals and win the championship. And when we finally got to that series between the Warriors and the Rockets, just that series was a battle. Game 1 did not look nice, but Game 2 they recover, and it's just a back and forth affair. Games 4 and 5 was just something beautiful. That was a matchup. That was a beautiful battle between these two teams. To see that Rockets team take a 3-2 lead, at that point, I was in full belief they were going to the finals. But once again, just like it's always happened, Chris Paul's hamstring at the worst moment. They would go on without CP3. This Rockets team would go on to blow double-digit leads in back-to-back games. And they would have one of the worst Game 7s we've seen by a team, where they would miss 27 straight three-pointers. They would lose that series, and the Warriors would advance to the finals. When I saw that happen, I truly believed that was Chris Paul's final chance to make it to the finals. This team was not going to perform the same way the following season. And obviously that showed. They got back, they matched up with the Warriors in the second round, It looked like they could get it done. Series is, tied up at this point, 2-2. Next thing you know, KD goes down in game five. Prime situation for the Rockets to take over and win. They not only lose game five, but they get embarrassed in game six. And at that point, I'm like, it's over for CP3. He's not winning a championship. Next thing you know, he gets traded to OKC. And it just looks like this is it. Chris Paul, he's getting older. He's in his 30s now. It's just like he's not going to get an opportunity to make it back to the final. I'm not make it back, but to make it to his first NBA finals. It doesn't look like it's fated to happen. And obviously, we saw what happened last year. Despite being with a team that was basically a lottery team, he still took them to the playoffs, and they won 7 games with his old team, the Houston Rockets, and the Rockets found a way to win that. So it was a first-round exit. And one thing we don't really talk about with Chris Paul, I feel like we don't even give him that much credit for, is that this guy, every team he's been at, they've been better with him. They've been better with him. He gets traded to the Clippers, and you have the best stretch of Clippers basketball in franchise history. You get sent to the Rockets, and the Rockets have one of the greatest seasons in their franchise history. In fact, the team gets revived because they would not. The fact that they were championship contenders was so interesting. However, no one believed they could beat the Warriors. However, I was one of the people that really believed they could win that, and I was hoping they would pull it off. But again, he made that team significantly better, and they were a legit threat to the Warriors. And then he goes to OKC, a team that was already built to beat the lottery. They weren't supposed to make the playoffs, and instead he not only takes this team to the playoffs, but he takes them to a 7-game series against his old Rockets team. Next thing you know, he ends up in Phoenix. And that's where the story is for him. The leadership he brings to this team, the way he motivates, him being the leader of the team, the guy, the veteran, to teach these young guys how to be successful. For him to come to Phoenix and do what he's done, it's truly something special. And again, he made this team better. And Phoenix, they were already on a team that was right. They were already on the rise. We saw it in the bubble. That 8-game stretch where it was pretty much 8 games to see who could make the playoffs. They won all 8 of their games, and they were this close to making the playoffs. It really looked like the Suns were due to break out next season. But getting Chris Paul, as well as Jay Crowder, because that was definitely a very important addition. But getting Chris Paul changed everything for them. And it was a thing of beauty. Next thing you know, they're the number 2 seed in the West. They look like legit contenders. It seemed like they have a good shot to make it to the NBA Finals. Then we get to the Lakers game. Game 1. And he falls down with yet another injury. And it seems to be some sort of shoulder injury. And we're sitting here and we're holding our heads and thinking, once again, Chris Paul, with another legit chance at this stage of his career, with another chance to make it to the NBA Finals, he gets injured. We think it's over. But thankfully, this time around, he was not going to be denied. He recovered from that injury. And it was tough. He didn't play well, but eventually he got in his groove. And at the end of the day, the Suns were able to take down the defending champs, the Los Angeles Lakers, and they were able to move on to the second round. Yes, I know they'll bring up injuries, and of course we know about that. I don't care about that right now. We get to, injuries are a part of the game. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Then you get to the second round against the Denver Nuggets, and they sweep. And this is where CP3 really gets to shine. And he starts playing some of the best basketball he's played in a long time and having great performances. He's a big part of how they were, of why they were just able to close out that Nuggets team in 4. They swept. But again, tragedy just hits him because that's this man's career. Tragedy and just unfortunate events. When it comes to the postseason. When it comes to regular season, nah. But postseason, yeah. The man ends up with COVID and he misses the first 2 games of the series. He will not be available for games 1 and 2. So now you got a team down with he has an opportunity in the conference finals to help them go there, and now he can't even play the first 2 games. So now he has to sit there and hope that his team can, well, he believes in them, but like he's got to sit there and believe that these guys are going to win those first 2 games, and then I can come back in. But it's like, man, it's like they're really testing him. They're really testing him because you don't know when he's coming back. But thankfully, again, it's still fine, and he's able to come back. The Suns win the first 2 games. CP3 comes back. And again, those 3 games, he was not playing his best basketball. It took him time. And there was a serious concern that the Suns can choke and potentially blow a 3-1 lead. But Chris Paul came out tonight and put that to bed. He closed out the Clippers. He went on like a 14 run on his own. When the league got close, they brought it to like a 7-point game. CP3 said, "It's my time. I'm owning this moment. I've spent my entire career trying to get to this moment, to get to the NBA Finals. I will not let you guys take this from me." And he owned that moment, and he owned this game, and he went on a 14-0 run on his own, just a scoring run of his own. He was responsible for like 14 of their 16 points during that stretch, and it's just like he took over. 41 points from CP3. 41 points. In my opinion, the greatest performance of his career, because these 41 points were crucial in getting his team to the NBA Finals, but most importantly, getting himself to his first ever NBA Finals. Like I said, me personally, NBA history would not look right if CP3 never makes the finals. It didn't feel right. This is one of the greatest point guards we've ever seen. He has a real good argument to be able to be in that top 5 greatest point guards of all time. Look at his resume. Look what he's done in the regular season. He's accomplished all over the place. The man has been consistently one of the best point guards in the game. Consistently. And everywhere he's gone in his career, every team he's gone to, he's made them better. He's one of the greatest point guards to ever play this game. He's the greatest point guard of his generation. And there's nothing else you could say. The only thing that's missing from this man's resume, that in my opinion, if he can get it, it will solidify his spot in NBA history. And I think at that point, you can put him in the top 5. The only thing that's missing from Chris Paul's resume is an NBA championship. And now that he's closed out the Clippers, he will have an opportunity to fight for that championship in the finals. At the end of the day, I don't know if he's going to get it, but there's 4 wins that his team needs to make. CP3 is 4 wins away from finally capturing that first ever title and completing his resume. Honestly, I feel like this could be the end of CP3's journey. If he collects this championship ring, if he wins this championship, I could see Chris Paul saying, "You know what? I've done everything I could in my career. I'm one of the greatest point guards of all time, and this was my ultimate goal. I fought for years to get to this point. And now that I've gotten this championship, I have nothing else to prove in my career. I'm perfectly fine retiring, taking a step back. This young Suns team's going to be fine without me. I think it's time for me to finally retire. I got my ring." I don't know if CP3 is going to retire if they win the championship. That's just how I feel like he might be thinking. But, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm just so happy to see CP3 in the NBA Finals. Sorry, I couldn't really give like a full recap of this game. I just didn't want to talk about that. I wanted to focus on CP3 because this is his journey. This is his journey. This means more to him than it could ever mean to. It means so much to him, man. It means so much to him. And this moment, to be able to finally see this moment, a moment I thought he lost when his team blew a 3-2 lead to the Warriors. A moment I didn't see happening at this stage, at this point in his career. He's finally here. He's in the NBA Finals. And if his team can win 4 games, he will finally capture the title he's been fighting his whole career for. I can't wait to see what they can do in the finals. Congratulations to the Phoenix Suns. Well done. What an amazing series. What an amazing series. What an amazing season. What an amazing job these guys have done. And again, Devin Booker silencing the critics, just proving that narrative that he can't win and that he's just putting up empty stats and he can't be a big part of a championship team and all this other stuff. Silencing the critics. Congratulations to this young Suns team, and congratulations to Chris Paul. With that being said, we move our attention to Game 5 for the Bucks-Hawks series. We'll see what happens there. But man, I can't wait for these NBA Finals because I'm really hoping Chris Paul can capitalize and cap this off with an NBA championship. That's all I got. I'm out of here, man. Peace.